The wind howled as I stood outside the imposing old house. It was the only option I had for accommodation as a tenant during my college years. With a mixture of amuse and apprehension, I unlocked the front door and stepped into the dimly lit hallway. The creaking wooden floors seemed to echo with the whispers of the past, as if the walls held secrets they were unwilling to divulge. I nervously laughed at my own unease, dismissing it as the product of an overactive imagination. The first few weeks passed in a blur of classes, assignments, and exploring my new surroundings. But as the days grew shorter and the nights colder, a subtle sense of unease began to creep into my consciousness. Small things at first, the flicker of shadows in the corners of my vision, the distant echo of footsteps where no one should be. One weekend, curiosity got the best of me, and I found myself wandering near the cemetery that lay not far from the house. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the gravestones. That's when I saw her, the Siberian Dancing Lady. She moved gracefully among the tombstones, her pale gown flowing as if she were dancing to a melody only she could hear. I watched, mesmerized and chilled to the bone as she twirled and swayed in the moonlight. Fear gripped me, and I stumbled back, my breath catching in my throat. I turned and fled, my heart pounding as if it were trying to escape my chest. I reached my house, slamming the door shut behind me, but the fear lingered, a persistent whisper in the back of my mind. Days turned into nights, and each evening brought with it a creeping dread that settled in the pit of my stomach. One night, as I lay in bed, I heard a faint sound, a soft, haunting melody that seemed to seep through the walls. I held my breath, straining to listen. The melody grew louder, the rhythm matching the beat of my racing heart. I realized it was coming from the hallway. Trepidation gripped me as I forced myself out of bed and tiptoed toward the hallway. The floorboards creaked under my weight, and I could feel a chill in the air that seemed to grow colder with each step. The melody was intoxicating, and I found myself drawn toward its source. And there, illuminated by the pale moonlight streaming through the window, stood the same dancing lady that I saw in the cemetery a few days back. A scream caught in my throat as I stumbled back, my pulse thundering in my ears. I turned and fled once again, my footsteps echoing through the house. But as I reached the front door and swung it open, I stopped dead in my tracks. Before me stood the lady in her ethereal form, illuminated by an otherworldly light. Panic surged through me, and I slammed the door shut, my breath ragged. I raced through the house, my heart racing as I desperately sought an escape. But the room seemed to shift and change, the walls closing in on me. It was as if the house itself had become a labyrinth, a sinister trap set by some malevolent force. My skin prickled with terror as I realized this house was not what it seemed. With a surge of adrenaline, I burst through a door that led to what should have been my bedroom, only to find myself in a dilapidated corridor. Pain shot through my leg as I stumbled and fell, but I forced myself to my feet and kept running. The walls seemed to twist and warp, and I could hear the haunting melody growing louder behind me. Finally, I burst through the front door, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I sprinted through the darkness, my heart pounding as if it were trying to escape my chest. I could still feel the presence of creature behind me, her cold gaze burning into my back. I reached my friend's home, battered and bruised but alive. The terror that had held me in its grip began to recede as I collapsed onto the floor, relief washing over me like a tidal wave. The house that had seemed so innocent had revealed its sinister nature, a playground for malevolent spirits to toy with the living. As I lay there, nursing my wounds, I realized that some forces were beyond comprehension, and not every house was a sanctuary. The memory of the Siberian Dancing Lady would forever haunt my dreams, a reminder that not everything that danced in the moonlight was meant to be beautiful. And as I drifted into an uneasy sleep, I knew that I had escaped with my life, but not without scars that would linger for years to come.